Hey everyone, we'll get started in just a minute. I see most of our usual members here, so I'm just going to check in with HDLC, see if they're joining. Okay, Jennifer, I've made you the co-host in case something happens. And Tracy from HDLC will be joining us in a minute, but I think we can go ahead and get started. So I'll call the meeting to order. With a roll call, I will call out the name of the department. If you could just say that you are here. City Planning, here. Public Works.
Here.
Real Estate and Records.
Here.
Parks and Parkways.
Here.
Sewage and Water Board.
Here.
And HDLC. Still working on it. All right, the way the meeting goes is we will go through each item in order and hear from the applicant, and then we will have questions from members. We will take a short break, after which we will read any public comments that have come in online, questions from members, and then vote on the CPC items. So the first item is number 1, consideration of a request by John Campbell, adjacent property owner, for the sale of a portion of ground on the corner of Vigno and Ponce de Leon Streets, Square 438, 8th Assessment, 2nd Municipal District. The adjacent lot bears the municipal address of 1315 Vigno. Do we have John Campbell here? Yes. You're muted.
Is that better?
Yes, there we go.
Sorry about that. Kind of new at this.
Just go ahead and I'm going to share the screen that'll show the area, and then you can explain your request. All right, does everyone see the square map that is on your screen? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Campbell, why don't you go ahead and explain what your request is?
Yes, there's a small section of land on the side of my house. It's roughly 8 feet wide, about 25 feet long. It looks like it fits very well with the house. I actually own the side yard behind the fence, and I just would like to, purchase from the city so I can do something with it. Otherwise, since my sister owned it since 1993, she was a little leery about doing anything with it. Also, she got ill at that time and couldn't do much with it, like meeting with y'all to actually purchase it. So I'm just trying to purchase it so I can maybe set up a garden or plant a tree or, you know, just have it in my possession, I guess.
Is it entirely green space?
It's just grass, little weeds. It's not really a big spot at all. It just fits well with the house. It actually looks like it should be with the house.
If,
Yeah,
Paul, if you,
Go
I
ahead.
was just going to say, pull up Street View, you can see it.
yeah, I did want to offer some clarification here. We're talking about, I think what we've described, what he described is 8 by 25. I did the area measurements using Property Viewer, and I came up with like roughly 10 by 29. But that may have been too big of a piece, but it looks like it's probably better to look at Property Viewer than it is to look at the plat map, because this is somewhat of an irregularly shaped lot. And allowing him to acquire this portion would allow the creation, of a more rectangular lot. Like right now, it sort of juts out in the rear. Yeah, you can kind of see it a little bit better here. Yeah, where you're showing, Paul. So
Is
like,
that-
yeah, and it's probably less than 300 square feet, but I don't, obviously we're interested in what the utility of that is to the city.
Well, I guess we'd especially like to hear from Public Works and Sewage and Water Board whether there are any facilities within the area.
Well, being neither one of those, I'll just go ahead and speak up as long as they're still trying to figure things out. We have no objection to the purchase, but just to let you know, you could go ahead and plant a tree there. But I'm assuming you want to be able to fence it in. Is that the issue?
No, not really. I just didn't want to invest money into it, like trees and whatever I needed to do. And then for some reason, y'all had to dig it up, or, for whatever reason, I didn't want to waste the money.
I well understand, but you just so you know, for future reference, between the sidewalk and the street, usually we permit tree planting and other plantings as long as they meet our specifications. But that being said, once again, Parks and Parkways has no objection to the sale.
Okay.
Louis, if you're
Here we
talking,
go. Okay, now we got it. All right. So I think we'd want to look at the details about just exactly how close to the curb we were getting. We still need some room to perform any kind of maintenance, or if we had to reconstruct the street or something like that, it would still have to be workable with that curb line still where it is. So, possibly some portion, but I don't know right now exactly how far from the house we'd be able to sell.
Okay.
It could be that we need, a minimum like, 2 feet or something from the back of curb, just to throw a number out there. So we have to draw the line somewhere within that grass.
So Louis, it looks like on Property Viewer, if the measurements are accurate on Property Viewer, which I know they're not exactly, it's looking like you could give up the 8 to 10 feet and still have another 8 feet. But maybe that's not right as it's showing on Property Viewer. I think we're probably need to get a survey, obviously, for you to feel better about it? Or what do you need? You need to go out and look at it?
I mean, you may be able to give, I would say it would be something more like, yeah, maybe about 8 feet. But I mean, even at 8 feet, you'd only have probably 4 feet left over. I'd say it's about 12 feet. Is what's there between the house and the curb.
Sewage and Water Board doesn't have any objections. The sewer and the water doesn't go that far in the street. It's at
Okay.
the center, it's in the center of the street, but there's like you see where where your yellow line is, you know, where Ponce de Leon, like before that. Yeah, you see where the P, probably the utility is probably, yeah, and then it goes south, probably somewhere in that area. It doesn't go that portion going left. So there's no utility in that area.
Okay. So probably able to move on, but when we come back there, I'm guessing there will be a motion of no objection, subject to further review by not sewage, but Public Works and CPC, maybe real estate records, but we'll make that decision later. Does anyone else have any questions or comments before we move on to the next item?
Oh, this
I'll
is
just say
Sewage and
just
Water
to-
Board. I'm not exactly sure. Well, I was just referencing the yellow line. It's probably not exactly in that location, but I was just saying it's in the street. So, and it doesn't go past left of the letter P.
Okay.
Okay.
So do you need further review, LaJoyce?
No.
Anyone else?
All right. Yeah, I just want to clarify that, you know, it could be that we won't be able to give any of it, but if we can, you know, it would be what I discussed previously. So I don't want to say that it's a guarantee. I'm gonna have to, you know, we're gonna need further review on the concept.
That's what further review is for, so no problem. All right, Mr. Campbell, any questions before I go on to the next item?
No questions.
So yeah,
right.
this is Joyce again. There's a sewer manhole in the street, and then the water is a couple of feet probably past the sewer manhole, but they're pretty much yeah, it doesn't go past that property line going towards the building.
Okay. All right,
I do have one question.
yes.
Do I stay and watch this till 5 o'clock, or y'all are going to set me up with another virtual meeting?
You don't have to stay, no, we can just let me know.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Okay.
We'll be in touch, Mr. Campbell.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Hi, this is Ava. You did great.
Thank you.
Hopefully, we won't be going to 5 o'clock today, though.
Okay, I didn't know.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we'll move on to the next item. Consideration, number 2, a consideration, a request by Brian Gibson, adjacent property owner, for the sale of a portion of a crosswalk, Square 14, Gentilly Woods, 3rd Municipal District, bounded by Metropolitan, Kendall, and Mirabeau Streets. Crosswalk is between municipal addresses 4800 and 4600 Metropolitan. So it's this little area right here. Do we have Mr. Gibson on the line? Were you all expecting him? Ava?
I sent an email and we spoke. There was another minor issue. So we spoke with him and someone else who had reached out on his behalf, so he was well aware.
Okay, do you all want to present this one then?
I think it's just the same. We get these a lot. We've had this conversation. It's just a walkway. They say typical walkway issues between maintenance and crime, them wanting to just take care of it themselves. So yeah, it's just a typical walkway issue.
To the observer on the street, would you even be able to tell where it is?
Let's see. Let me look at it in property view because I'm looking at the plat map.
So just based on street view, it looks like the piece behind him has kind of been captured by the neighbor. So there's a boat parked there. On the next block
Yeah, but
behind him, it's pretty well taken care of, and then the block in front of him, you have the same walkway, and looks like it's not very taken care of. Might even be blocked by fences.
But
again.
would we, I mean, basically you're saying just because somebody else, we're letting somebody buy a quarter of the walkway, right? So it would go to the middle of the sidewalk, right? Is that where it would go? And
I think
so,
I think we're stipulating our walkways, as far as the conversations that I've had with Jen, only on the entire walkway being able to be disposed of.
oh, okay, because that's not what it says. So I just was a little confused. So it would be contingent on that.
Well, this person wants a portion. They don't want the whole walkway. If the walkway is approved for sale, then we would have to speak with this person about, it would have to be approved by all 4 lots that are surrounding the walkway, and B, how would that be? Obviously, every parcel would have to say, yes, we agree to sell it, but how would that be divvied up? On the next one, all 4 have expressed interest, but if it's just the 2 people expressed interest, then maybe there's the possibility of it being divvied up 50-50. But that was something that they wanted to discuss after they found out, even if it was a possibility of it being sold.
Okay, I was just a little unclear because it's, as to how we would proceed. Okie dokie.
So we should really consider this to be for the sale of the entire walkway.
Yes.
Not just for the portion.
Right. Now, Mr. Gibson is requesting a portion. Which portion of that remains to be seen. But as far as my conversation with Jennifer, we aren't even discussing not selling the entire walkway.
Right. I mean, if it's a possibility, then he can start reaching out to the other adjacent owners and bring them to the table. But we certainly don't want to leave any pieces. If we're going to do it, we want to do the whole thing. So whether that's a 50-50 or 3-way split by agreement, it doesn't matter. We just need to decide if the whole thing can be disposed of or not.
All right, so an important thing to know in that would be whether or not there are any utilities or public facilities within the walkway area.
Right.
Any comments from Sewage and Water Board or Public Works on utilities?
Sewage and Water Board has no objections. There's no sewer or water in that location.
Yeah, we have no issue in regards to utilities. You know, obviously the walkways, I'm pretty sure the walkways were installed. I know we rehash this every time, but you know, they were installed per subdivision regulations, which, you know, I assume was a planning thing. So, you know, I guess that we've kind of started to do is just kind of yield to planning and say that if, you know, planning thinks that it's all right based on how it's being used or whatever, then we're not going to object since it's already been half closed off.
Yeah, there are certain neighborhoods where the walkway actually does exist, but if it doesn't exist and has been in that state for a long time, I don't think we would have an objection as long as the entire walkway gets sold and not just portions. All right. Does anyone else have any questions, comments, concerns, considerations?
So Paul, your consideration is whether it's actually activated or not?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, if it was a new subdivision where they maybe hadn't gotten around to building it yet, that might be one thing, but you know, this area has been there for a long time. And then it does create maintenance issues. And encroachment issues.
So I have a question, a situation like, and a walkway like this one, and we get these so much, where one half of the walkway has already been, I guess, taken. How will we handle that? I mean, it looks as if they've already, if we say, okay, you can purchase the whole walkway, it appears as if they've already fenced that in. Our conversation be to them, your neighbor needs to move that fence, like what would, if they've already acquired illegally half the other side of the walkway?
Well, I think that person better bid on that half of the walkway or they're gonna have to move their fence.
Okay. Okay.
Well, we would be relying on DPW to enforce that removal. So you on board, Louis?
DPW, or if it got to that point,
DPW.
safety and permits?
Maybe.
Guess we'll cross that bridge.
Right, well, if no one else has anything else, I'll move on to the next item.
Ava, why don't we make a note to flag the apparent fencer
Okay.
in Llama?
He's on the Kendall side.
Yep.
Okay.
So frequently that is one of the tools we have to follow up on that. If this doesn't go anywhere, it's still an illegal use of city property. So,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
All right, item number 3 is a request by neighboring homeowners to purchase equal 1/4 portions of the crosswalk dividing squares 26 and 27, running from St. Bernard to Bancroft in the 3rd Municipal District. Crosswalk is adjacent to municipal address 5100 Bancroft.
And that's 5101. That was my mistake.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kramer. My name is Saja Farhad. I'm the person that is 5100 St. Bernard. So I don't know if my neighbor's on here too, because if we are, we can kind of like talk at the same time because my next door neighbor is actually on with me to purchase that same alley I think we're talking about. So if you have all 3 of us here and we just didn't know about it, we're all here.
Okay. I'm looking for the crosswalk on the attachment that you sent me, Ava,
Okay.
but I'm not seeing it.
Let me pull up. Let's see.
This is the 4,900 and 5,000 block. Or is it this 15-foot lane here?
It is, are you looking at the first one? There's a, between 26 and 27 Bancroft, and is that the plat map you're looking at, or?
Yes, that's the plat map. Okay,
Yeah, there's this little squiggly lane in between, I think it's 334.98, 335.86 on one side. You see that crosswalk, it says? It says Riviera on the other side of St. Bernard. It's almost like the crosswalk runs into Riviera.
Do I have it? Let me see if I have a second attachment. Do you all see the
Yes,
one with Fillmore at the top?
yes.
Okay, wasn't sure if I changed it, if it does that automatically. Okay, so it's this line here.
Yes.
Or 5 St. John. All right. Would the adjacent property owner like to go ahead and talk about it? Ms. Barhood?
I didn't know if you were talking to, I heard you say a different name, so I didn't know if you were talking to that person. So basically, like myself and my next door neighbor, they are Mr. Carl and Jennifer Diaz. I did invite them to this Zoom. I don't know if they're on. But we pretty much take care of the alley. If you look up the image, the Google image, the neighbors behind us do not take care of it. Like there's weeds and just not maintained at all. My in-laws have owned that house for the past 45 years, and they've always been the one to maintain that alley. My husband and I have taken over it the past 11 years. We just basically, it's not safe for our children. I have 4 young boys. We get like people walking there, running through that, like, you know, running, taking shortcuts if they're like running around the block or something. I'm honestly scared for my kids to kind of like go out the fence sometimes and like just walk to the street, because we are on St. Bernard and it is like a main street. I don't know what more to say. It's kind of like the same thing you guys were talking about with the other persons, like just before me. But you have 2 of us here, and I don't know if you mentioned there's a person on Bancroft that inquired. If the person behind me on Bancroft inquired, well, there's 3 of us that want it, and we just want our portion. I don't want the whole thing, nor does Mr. Carl want the whole thing. We pretty much just want what's even to us, basically.
And have you talked to all four owners or 3 other owners?
So I've only spoken to Mr. Carl. The neighbor behind me, their house has been like on and off for rent. The owner does not live in Louisiana. They just recently, I think, put it up for sale, but they have been like doing these like short-term rentals the last couple of years. I've tried to reach out to them. There's no like getting in touch with the owner. I don't know if the sale went through. If it did go through, the new owners are not taking care of the alley at all. The owner on the other side of Bancroft, I think in the past years, Mr. Carl tried to reach out to them, and it was just kind of like a standstill. But like I said, if it was a matter of like them taking care of it, we would be fine with it. Like, you know, we can all share the alley, whatever. Like, you know, it's a great asset sometimes, but they're not taking care of it. My kids are older, and it's just, you know, it's more for safety. There's no lights in the alley. It's not fixed. The sidewalk is all cracked up. We actually, one of the neighborhood dogs got out and was a pit bull recently, like on Thursday of last week. And my husband had left for work, and he just started like barking and chasing my husband. So it's just a matter of safety and just maintenance.
And you said there is a sidewalk there, but it's damaged or poor condition?
So yeah, it's not a sidewalk, it's an alley. So the alley is just like the concrete is literally like you're going through like a roller coaster. It's all cracked and like honestly, it's a fall hazard. Like if somebody was to run and not see the alley, like they would fall probably to a certain hole.
Yeah, I was asking basically whether it was paved.
It's half paved and half like covered in weeds and like grass, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
Semi-paved, it looks, I'm sorry, it looks pretty semi-paved.
I have it up on Google Maps if you want me to share the screen, Paul.
All right, let me stop sharing and you have the floor, Jennifer.
Mhm.
Aha.
So here we have from the Bancroft side. And then we're going through, this is 5101 Bancroft.
Oh, how you doing?
And then over here, I'm gonna drop the little dude down on 51 St. Bernard. So I can't really see it very well on this side. It's got quite a lot of grass on it.
Okay. Definitely helps.
Yeah, it looks like, I don't know who is on the right, but it looks like they've extended their driveway and somewhat improperly.
What white?
Interesting shaped driveway.
Like the white truck?
Yeah.
That's my car. I just parked there so my husband can leave. I normally park in front of him in the carport. He parks in the carport and I park in front of him. But when he leaves early in the morning, I just move my car so he can leave.
What do we have? Any,
So LaJoyce, it looks like when we're on this end, it looks like we got a drain here and no water here. Can you tell us anything about the utilities in the crosswalk, if any?
Yeah, I saw that. I can't verify that that's actually belonging to anything that's in there. Really, it doesn't quite look like it. So I think it's, it could be going across the street or something, but I wouldn't expect there to be a drain line running through there. There could be though. There absolutely could be. So we'll need to verify that.
No, there's no drain line running through there. It's like, I see that's two drain manholes, but no,
They're not in the
it's just,
crosswalk.
no, it's just the 18-inch, I guess, drain line look like it's running parallel to the curb in the street.
Okay.
But I think it probably, I don't know if like Riviera is the other direction if you turn around.
Right. That's probably just where it's tying into Riviera.
Well, where there's no tie-in, but I guess maybe they just put there maybe for future, maybe if they wanted to tie in.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. Well, the DPW won't have any objection.
okay. And sewage water board.
And Sewage and Water Board has no objection.
Okay. All right. Anyone else want to comment? Hearing none. Well, we can move on to the next item.
Wait, I have a
So,
question real quick. Am I able
Go ahead.
to, am I able to get off of this and like Miss Ava reaches back out to me or something, or?
yes,
Yes,
Okay, I
ma'am.
do wanna leave a comment though to you guys. I'm not looking to buy the whole thing, nor Mr. Carl's looking to buy the whole thing. We just want what's even to our lot, basically, like what's even to where our fence ends in the back and like where our fences start. Like, we're not even looking to go all the way to the sidewalk. We're not looking for all of that.
Mr. Carl's behind you or beside you?
Mr. Carl's St. Bernard, next
to
door
you.
to me. Yes, the 2-story house next door to me.
Yeah,
So
so
I just want to make sure that's clear.
I think if we did sell this, we would want someone to buy the back portion as well.
And I'm okay with buying the back portion. I just didn't know if you guys were gonna approve of me and him splitting the whole thing, the whole alley. Or did the neighbors behind us on Bancroft have to be willing to purchase it?
Yeah, we have to talk to the neighbors in the back and see what their position is. If they're in the position to buy their quarter, or one or the other is interested and the other one is consenting. I mean, we can look at some different ways to do it, but it would have to be the entirety with the consent of all 4 owners.
Right, and I don't
Okay.
think we could sell a little sliver that connected with a lot that was on the opposite street. We'd want at least one of those property owners in the rear to buy that portion of the walkway.
Okay, understandable. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And then our last item is a consideration of item number 4, request for servitude of air ground rights for steps, landing, and railings over the Governor Nichols Street right-of-way adjacent to the 2nd Municipal District, Square 315, Lot O, by Odyssey House, Louisiana Incorporated. The municipal address of the property is 2434 to 2436 Governor Nichols. And then in parentheses, 1125 North Tonti Street.
Hi, this is Ashley. I just want to confirm that I got an email from HGLC stating that the conversion would be a historic reconstruction. So we wouldn't be looking for a servitude for this one. We would just be looking for a review of the right of way if it would affect any utilities in the right of way. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, we heard you.
Okay.
Sorry, we didn't say anything.
Historic construction, got it.
All right, looks like we have some representatives from Odyssey House here.
Yeah, hi, my name is Curtis Lobb. I'm an architect with Gould Evans. I'm working for Odyssey House. Technically our client is Gulf Coast Housing Partners, and they're the client representative. Yeah, so the extent of this project is to relocate some of the functions on this lot from one side of the lot to the other side, which is, the lot consists of about 7 buildings. And so the function, and it's a residential care facility. So we're relocating the functions that are in building A, which is down on the corner, to this building and building E, and kind of basically moving the function of this one over to building A. And so, this was a building that's been not in the best shape right now, and so we're fixing it up. And part of the renovation is to have an entrance from the door on the left of the screen there, and we need to upgrade that existing stoop to something that's more code compliant, to allow a landing to access the door and steps that are code compliant. So that's the extent of this. The work over the property line is this stair, as well as you kind of see a bush there. There'll be a backflow preventer serving the new sprinkler system in that location.
I'm sorry, I didn't see where the backflow preventer was.
Well, it doesn't
And-
really show on this drawing, but it's in that location where you can see that little bush between the 2 stoops.
Between the 2 stoops.
Mm-hmm. So if you go to the plan or the elevation, I think it shows on there. Yeah, that elevation there, number 2, on top left, if you kind of zoom into that.
Okay.
You
I
can
didn't
kind
know
of
what
see
you
it
were
down-
calling a bush because your poor little tree looks a little sad out in front, and I just wanted to double
Yeah.
check.
Yeah, we haven't confirmed the type of plantings yet, so it's a bit of a placeholder. But yeah, the backflow preventer is there, kind of showing that box, raising that behind and back down, and then it goes into the building from there.
Any questions, comments from committee members?
No, no objection from DPW. The sidewalk's a little small now. In terms of the encroachment, it's already kind of encroaching on the 4-foot sidewalk. So if we could maintain or reestablish a 4-foot sidewalk, that'd be great.
Yeah, and there is a sidewalk in front of the stoops, so we're not really taking out any space beyond where those existing steps are. It's kind of putting a landing in the footprint of the existing steps and turning it so that we don't really encroach onto the sidewalk any more than was already being encroached upon in terms of distance away from the property line. I think you can see in the site plan there, it should show where the sidewalk is.
What number would that be?
Oh, if you just zoom out, I think it's on this page. Yeah, up to the top of the page there. You can kind of see where the existing sidewalk.
Okay, Curtis. Yeah, I just saw where you have the
Yeah,
4-foot 2 sidewalk
Yep.
dimension. So that's good. It's on sheet
Yeah, this page, the
or
top of the page there.
the 4th page of the PDF, A101P. So that's good.
We always require them to show the ADA path.
Yep, and so the path here is, there is and it's worth noting that this building is primarily intended to be accessed from what you would normally consider the rear, because it's sort of primarily, it's primarily in service of the residential care facility, which is, it's sort of a campus, and so most of the activity is happening in the back part of the lot away from the street. So that's going to be your primary access there. But there will be a gate from North Rocheblave that will be connected to a buzzer in the reception desk that will allow access to that ramp from the rear.
Looks like it's showing 4 feet 2 inches passage.
Yep.
All right, any other comments, concerns, questions?
I guess from my perspective, it sounded like you said this won't actually require a servitude and that we'll just need to go through the normal permitting process with HDLC review.
Correct. So no servitude is needed at this point. We just need to have the review of, mainly I was looking for DPW and Parks and Parkway. So look like you guys are good.
Okay. Great. Okay.
All right, so that was our last item. We'll now take a 3-minute recess to review any public comments, and we will come back and vote on the first 3 items. See you
What do you
all.
need from me then?
You don't need to stay.
All right. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, that's the end of our recess. I'm just gonna call the department's names again to make sure you're still on the line. Got CPC here as present. Department of Public Works,
Here.
Real Estate and Records,
We're here.
Parks and Parkways, Sewage and Water Board,
Here.
and
Sorry, I'm here.
no problem.
Public Works is
HDLC.
here again too.
Okay. I see HDLC. All right, so item number 1. This is the request by John Campbell for the approximately 8-foot by 20 or 25-foot area next to his home, which bears the municipal address of 1315 Vigna. I think that
I'd like to make a motion of no objection, subject to further review by DPW, CPC, and Real Estate and Records.
Second it.
all right. All right, roll call. City Planning Commission, yes. Department of Public Works,
Yes.
Real Estate and Records,
Yes.
Parks and Parkways, LaJoyce,
Yes.
yes, and HDLC. Tracy, your microphone not working. You can send a chat thing. In any case, we'll just mark it down as approved 5-0. Next, we have consideration of the request of Brian Gibson, adjacent property owner, sale of portion of crosswalk, or in our consideration, the entire crosswalk, Square 14 Gentilly Woods. The crosswalk being between municipal addresses 4800 and 4600 Metropolitan and running to Kendall.
I'm gonna make a motion of no objection to the sale of the entire crosswalk, subject to further review by Planning Commission and Real Estate and Records. I'm contingent on finding a configuration that makes sense under the planning rules.
That was just CPC and Real Estate and Records.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Do I have a second?
Second.
And by DPW, roll call. City Planning Commission, yes. Department of Public Works,
Yes.
Real Estate and Records,
Yes.
Parks and Parkways,
Yes.
Sewage and Water Board,
Yes.
HDLC. Passes 5-0. And the final item for consideration, this is the request by the neighboring property owners for the crosswalk running between St. Bernard and Bancroft, dividing squares 26 and 27. Crosswalk is adjacent to address 5100 Bancroft or 5101.
I want to make a motion of no objection, subject to further review by Planning Commission and Real Estate and Records.
Second
Alright.
at DPW.
Thank you. Roll call. City Planning, yes. Department of Public Works,
Lewis,
Yes. Yes.
Real Estate and Records,
Yes.
Parks and Parkways,
Yes.
Sewage and Water Board,
Yes.
HDLC. That motion passes 5-0. That's our last item. I hereby, in the power vested in me, declare the meeting adjourned.
Thank you, Paul. Nice to see
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody. Nice short meeting today.
Ooh.
Thanks.